And we're joined now by our very own Atlanta News First reporter, Patrick Quinn, out in Plains. We went out to Patrick earlier to see that motorcade take off from the Carter's hometown. Patrick, how's the energy out there?
Well, there was a lot of somberness earlier, and I think you heard that. We talked with one woman. She was dressed in black, and she said, yes, I'm in mourning. This town is in mourning. Of course, Rosalynn Carter, she was born in Plains. She grew up here. Her school is just around the corner. She went first to 11th grade. They didn't have 12th grade back then. That's where she met Jimmy Carter at school. Education was really important for her. She went to Georgia Southwestern State University, what was formerly Georgia Southwestern College. And there was a great story I heard last week about that, where then the naval officer asked Rosalynn Carter for marriage, and she said, no, not till I get my degree. She got her degree, and today the motorcade that started here, it went to Georgia Southwestern State University, and they had a formal wreath laying there. That college certainly meant a lot to her. Her education certainly meant a lot to her. And for here, many in Plains, of course, she was the former First Lady of the country, but she was the First Lady of Plains. And I've heard that so much since I've been here. In fact, here right now, there is this memorial that was launched just in the last week, and you can see the First Lady of Plains, and you see a little bit of her entire life. You see her over in the bottom right-hand corner, a picture of her with her family. She had 4 kids, 11 grandkids, and 14 great-grandchildren. So she was certainly oriented around her family, and you see a lot of the other work around her, certainly mental health. The Institute for Caregivers, that is based at Georgia Southwestern State University, and that effort will certainly continue. And you can see a lot of her she was global. There's Habitat for Humanity right there in the middle. Her on that bike, that's cracking me up. She was funny. She had a sense of humor. We've certainly heard that as well. But this community in Plains, they really recognized that as global as this couple was, this was home. Plains was home, and they never forgot about that. There are so many great stories of them just showing up for dinner, as any neighbor would, and we certainly have heard that today. So mixed emotions today here in Plains, certainly. Some sadness, some somberness, but certainly a lot of celebration for a life well lived. Maria?
Patrick, you said that so well. We were talking to our anchor, Joy Limnacron, was talking to Rick, and he said, this is a somber moment and the family really feeling this, but for the community, it's also a moment to be grateful for the life and legacy of Rosalynn Carter. She gave back throughout her life, through her humanitarian work, through her voice. She really was a woman of the future. You actually went down there when the news broke of her passing. Talk to me a little bit about both of that making your way down to Plains and then those initial moments when the town really was grieving together.
Yeah, for a lot of residents here that I've spoken with over the last week or so, they say it will take weeks, months to continue to grieve. While the former president, Jimmy Carter, while he went into hospice around February, she went into hospice just 2 days before she died. So her end of life, it went pretty rapidly. And while obviously things were progressing in this way, it did come of a shock of how quickly it happened. So a lot of them said it will take some time. They were used to seeing them just around Plains, hand in hand. A woman I spoke with earlier said it was really rare to see one without the other. So certainly a lot of grief still to be had. What else can I highlight about the trip down here? Plains is really small. Let's just show you a little bit of this is downtown Plains. There are no street lights in this entire town, but this is somewhat of the main town center, and you can see business after business. We've gone into them. We have certainly talked with a lot of them. You can get some great peanut ice cream, which I still have yet to do. There's a peanut farming company right on the corner here. We're seeing a lot of tractors that will come and go even today. Just as a sign that life is continuing on, work is continuing on. But I've asked a lot of people, what does the future look like in Plains without Rosalynn Carter? And inevitably, what does the future of Plains look like without Jimmy Carter? And for so many of them have told me they'll be gone, but Plains will continue. And if anything, Rosalynn Carter left us a perfect roadmap of the type of people that we need to be in all walks of life. We're certainly seeing that. That people can emulate. So, and in the background there is the headquarters for Jimmy Carter's campaign. Of course, before he was president, he was governor. And those campaigns, they started here. Rosalynn Carter was right by his side for those campaigns. She really did consider herself a political partner to the former president. And she also was right by his side during their farm supply business as they were harvesting peanuts. She ran the books. She was the bookkeeper. She said, I was able to see, when things were going well, what crops we really should tend to most. And so she was more than a wife. She was more than a first lady. She really did consider herself a partner to the former president. And it's been really interesting for me to cover this and to get to know her. I mean, I just can't stress. I went home for Thanksgiving and I talked to my family about it. I can't stress how in awe I am that both the former president, Jimmy Carter, and the former First Lady, Rosalynn Carter, they were able to build this tremendous life coming from plains. I mean, this town is so small. So to be able to build up that momentum, to not just run for governor and become governor, but then to run for president and become president, and then to build the legacy that they have built post-presidency, all from this small town, it is tremendous. And this town is so proud of them.